Hey there, Ben with Real Recovery Talk coming at you with the 5 minute or less video. So, I wanted to touch on the topic of smoking pot in recovery. Now, I'm a believer, I'll just come out and say it right in the beginning so that there's no confusion. I'm a firm believer that there is a very, very high probability that it could lead to worse relapse, either directly or indirectly. But I wanted to give some thought processes to it. Now, I've seen cases where people with long-term recovery. In fact, I have a very close friend who literally it escalated to the point where he lost his wife to an overdose, etc. But when I asked him, hey, where did this start? Where do you think the relapse started? He said, oh, we got medical marijuana cards. And I believe it started there when you kind of break down the story. So there's an individual right there currently who is stating the relapse escalated from smoking pot. Now there's all the legalization stuff going on right now, recreational use across the U.S., etc. So this is coming up pretty often. Now, one of the things for myself, and this is just me, again, I say it all the time, recovery is not black and white. You got to kind of look at your own case and be cognizant enough to recognize whether or not you're even capable of looking at your own case without a skewed perception or getting feedback from others is highly recommended. But basically speaking, I'm to the point where I've made a decision that I am not going to partake in any cannabis products, edibles, etc. during my recovery. And the reason being is that I look at where I've placed myself in my recovery. With several years sober, I have gotten very involved with 12-step programs. A lot of my very close friends are sober. My sober supports, obviously, they don't partake in any mind or mood altering substances. Now, because I've established a community like that, I have to ask myself, if I did start to smoke pot, which for me I don't believe would take me back to like shooting dope. I really don't, but there is some risk to it for me. The way that I kind of see it. Now, while it might not take me back to my drug of choice right away, some people say that it does. I want to throw that out there. There may be some indirect causes. I have to look at what made me successful to begin with. Was it involvement with 12-step programs and being around people who are completely abstinent? If I start smoking, am I going to feel comfortable showing up to a 12-step meeting? You know how it goes. You get there and you all, oh no, everybody knows I'm stoned. I probably would have some internal conflict for a few different reasons. I wouldn't feel comfortable being there, and in a way, being a hypocrite, I guess, would be one of my fears, and the fear of knowing that there probably are some people in this room that could not get away with smoking pot without going back to their drug of choice directly in a very quick manner. Now, while I'm one of those guys, I don't think it would. I would partake in smoking pot all day long. That's just who I am. All day, every day. It's how I do life for the most part with anything that I do. I have a super addictive personality. I think once I started smoking pot, I would have a really, really hard time putting it down. And is it going to benefit my life that much to give up that much time to it? I don't believe so. But the most important factor I want to hit home for myself is it going to take me away from all the things and all the resources and all the people that made me successful to begin with? Am I going to separate myself because I have some internal conflict of being around the people that I surrounded myself with to get sober in order to partake in smoking a little weed or eating some edibles or whatever it is these kids do nowadays? It's getting, pretty futuristic. God knows what's coming next. Pretty soon we're going to be IV and THC, right? Point is, man, weigh the risk out. In my book, in recovery, definitely not worth the risk. I'm a firm believer that directly, indirectly, if you are the real deal alcoholic drug addict, it will eventually lead you to a more severe relapse. That's what I believe. That's what I've seen in thousands of cases. It's through working in the field, there's no shortage of stories of people that'll tell you, yep, it all started with smoking a little doobie. So with that being said, if nobody told you I love you today, I do. Real Recovery Talk, out.